Alright guys, welcome back to Bookish Inclinations, and today we will be going over A Door in the Woods by James Dashner. As far as I know, this is Dashner's first novel. He also wrote The Maze Runner, The Mortality Doctrine, and this is definitely the least polished of his works as far as I've read. First off, I'm going to say it's got probably one thing that redeems it somewhat in my eyes. Otherwise, it is a bit of a rough read. So first off, the part that I like most about it is the motivation for the main protagonist. And that is, he is motivated largely, it seems, by love for his family, respect for his parents, and then also somewhat by curiosity, which does get him into some difficulties. I think this was a good choice by Dashner because in modern fantasy and just literature in general, it seems that a lot of the story and the motivation for a lot of the characters is driven by conflict or just other negative emotions. And I think this is partly due to the fact that negative emotions can have much more of an obvious impact on the world, and then positive emotions tend to be a little more subdued. Now, to get into some less appealing characteristics, it is, just generally speaking, not a smooth read. Sentences can seem abrupt, the conversation is a bit simplistic, and just all in all, it is rather rough around the edges. And this is probably due to the fact that it is his first book. Just as an example of some of those more abrupt sentences, here we have, "I couldn't make out much through the branches and leaves. All I knew for sure was that below me stood the worst man I had ever seen. There he was, right below me, just dragging and hurting this poor lady for no good reason. I had the sudden fear that maybe he was going to kill her. I was scared like I had never been scared before. I started crying. I tried to keep to myself, sobbing with fright, but I must have looked like one of those freakies at the Lawrenceville Carnival. I was so suddenly and unexpectedly terrified, my efforts to stay quiet must have been quite a sight." You might be able to hear, I don't know how much I tried to remedy it in my speaking, or maybe I did it a disservice, but those sentences don't have a whole lot that seems to make them smoothly flow. They're very abrupt when you're looking at it, very abrupt when you're reading it. Just another kind of indicator of maybe Dashner's inexperience with this first book is some of the conversation. "The boy," this was the voice of the monster. "I forgot all about him. He's up in the room with the door wide open." And just a little bit later on, "Where are you going, boy? You think you can run? You're going to be dead in 5 minutes." Just looking at it through the lens of other books I've read, it seems very simplistic and just blunt the way the characters within it were talking. And this could be an intentional move on Dashner's part, but again, it just sort of distracts me from fully immersing myself in the story. The final part, which is more of a personal problem with it, is just how thin it is. I understand every book can't be thick, but this book is very fast-paced. It could have done with another couple hundred pages and been much better. You would have had more exposition, a little more character development. It's hard to get all the information conveyed that needs to be conveyed in such a short span with, I think, the idea the author had. So yeah, I think it could have benefited from a couple hundred more pages and a few more sentences that maybe transitioned or flow into the next a bit better. So my final thoughts on it are, well, it's not a book I'd read many, many times. It's not a terrible read, and it's a good, quick entertainment. I'm going to read the other 3 remaining in the series, and hopefully we see a bit of improvement in the writing, maybe a little more character development, and hopefully it gets better. Comment below about what book you want me to read and review next. I'm always looking forward to adding to my book list. I'm always running out of books to read, so hopefully we can find something nice to do next time. Thank you. This is Bookish Inclinations.